Hi, Christine. Hi, Christine.
Hiya, how you doing?
I'm good, honey. How are you?
Oh, fantastic.
That's good. Did you have a good day? Look at you. You're so smiley.
Well, we've got Saoirse again, so she's in there with Billy, so
Aw.
she's fun.
Yeah? How
Uh-huh.
old?
She's 3.
Oh my gosh, that's a handful.
Mm?
That's a handful.
But she's gorgeous with it.
Amazing. Hi,
See you
Celia.
there.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. You are just ahead in blackness.
Yes. Can't hear her.
No, we can't hear you yet. Oh, there you are.
Hello.
Hiya.
You are literally just ahead in blackness.
Oh, maybe it's because of the light. Hold on.
Hi, Caroline.
Let me go over to the living room. No, I'm still in darkness.
Uh-huh.
Hi, Caroline. How are you?
See if I bring it over to this room. No, I'm still in darkness.
Wonder why it's so dark.
I do not knowing. Let's see if I turn this.
Caroline,
I'm in the dark.
It's like spook night.
It is. It's
Great. No, and I have lights on everywhere.
That's so strange. I wonder if you should go off and maybe come back on. Maybe
Okay, I can do that.
Oh my goodness.
Hey, Caroline, are you in it?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I downloaded the Zoom
Oh, there she is.
on my cell phone.
Oh my gosh.
So here I am.
So nice to hear you. Is that your Christmas tree still up?
I'm celebrating every day. Well, it's kind of just like, there's no Christmas ornaments on it.
It's awfully pretty.
It is.
Wow.
I'd keep mine up if we could.
Well, maybe I'll put hearts on it for Valentine's.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Still in the dark.
Yeah, why not?
I wonder why you're still in the dark. Hey, Celia, you know what I'm wondering? Do you have your computer on night mode or something?
I don't think it's a PC.
Oh.
Do you think it might be because it's a PC?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Hello, Michelle.
I saw Michelle.
Uh-huh. Hi, Michelle.
So just to let you ladies know, Celia, one of our creative co-founders, is joining us today because Celia is going to be trained to teach workshops as well. Hello, Miss Elizabeth!
So I've been online waiting. I didn't realize it started. I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries. I was just explaining that Celia's on with us tonight because Celia is going to move forward and be teach workshops as well.
Nice.
So she's going to be joining us for some training.
Yay.
We're all training.
We're always students.
Yes.
Hi.
I literally just had a conversation today with a woman from the Canadian Positive Psychology Association. They've got an incredible conference that they're going to be doing in, oh no, when did she tell? Was it February, March? Maybe May. I can't. Oh, you know what? Do I still have the thing open? Let me see. It is May 2018. She's going to be posting in the Army soon. They're looking for volunteers for the conference. So if you guys are interested, when she posts it, I'll tag you because it's a number of days and it's like brilliant speakers from all over, like coaches, therapists, doctors, all on positive psychology. And so both of us were talking today about, and I said to her, one of my favorite mindsets is the student mentality mindset. Because it's like we always have to stay in that student mentality to always be learning and growing. And so I'll definitely tag you ladies if you're interested in becoming a volunteer, because then of course you get to see everything for free.
Would love it.
Sounds good.
I know, right? So I think that'd be very exciting. So you guys are the first to hear about this.
Wow.
Exactly. So let's check in with everyone and see how everyone's doing. Michelle, how are you doing, honey? Oh, we can't hear you. Yep, now I can. Nope, now I can't. No, is your volume turned up, honey? Oh my God, look at Elizabeth's dog.
I can't see it.
Down at the, can't you see at the bottom?
Oh, somebody on this side heard dog.
Oh.
Christine, can I ask a question? On your screen, are you full screen and everyone else is little down the side?
No, I got little at the top.
Okay, so up at the top, you can see speaker view. You can change your speaker view so we're all like the Brady Bunch.
Help.
Can you see up the top right-hand corner? There's a little button that says speaker view.
Nope.
You don't see
Oh,
that?
hang on.
No,
It's at the bottom.
you have to take the cursor up to the corner and then it comes on.
Try that.
Gallery view and
Yes, click that.
enter full screen. Hey.
Now can you see us all in little blocks, in bigger blocks?
Yes.
There, isn't that better?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, Michelle, we still can't hear you. Nope. Is your volume on? Nope, now you muted. Now you're unmuted. Do you have headphones? Do you have headphones with a speaker in it to talk? Like a Bluetooth? Oh, I don't know what you're saying.
Oh,
my
she
goodness.
may have to click audio. I had to click audio.
Oh, did you? Down at the bottom?
Yeah.
Maybe you have to click audio. Okay, well, while you're looking for the audio, Christine, how are you doing?
Me, I'm fine.
How was your week?
Busy. I've been working in my room. It doesn't look it, but I have.
Good. And how was your journaling? Have you been doing your journaling?
You'll be proud.
Really?
I should have brought one in for me. They're in there. I've got little books and I've got little labels all over them, and I've got a bit for this and a bit for that, so I don't lose it.
Good for you. Good for you. It's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It is, but I keep forgetting to fill it in sometimes, sort of think I should have done that and I'll go back and do it, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. Listen, you shouldn't fill all of them in. You shouldn't fill all of them in every day. You should just pretty much be working in, say, your 5-minute journal, your 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night. Stick to just those. Don't get too overwhelmed with trying to fill in all other journals, because then it becomes too much, okay? Okay. Caroline, what about you? How are you?
Look at mine. With my Post-it note. Did you journal today?
Yay! Got mine in. Yay!
I'm filling it up. All this stuff.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing, Caroline. Honestly, it's like I just have to follow you on social media. You are just like loving the journaling.
I'm healing myself.
Good. That is the whole point. Elizabeth, what about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I wanted to introduce you guys to Koba. This is my love bug. I'm going to show him off because I'm obsessed with him. But I too have been doing my journaling and my affirmations. What I did though is I'm actually changing it because I do the really complicated point way of doing stuff. So Heidi, after our last course, I thought, let me try something new. So I'm trying to do it not complicated. So it's going well. I really do enjoy doing it.
Good.
And he sits with me every night, so we journal together.
Oh,
So yeah.
How are you doing? Can we hear you yet? No, I can't hear you yet. No. See, I don't even know where the audio thing is.
And that was
Are you on a Mac or a PC?
Oh, you won't be able to hear her.
Yeah. So if you go to where, like on my screen, if I go down where the mute is, there's like a little arrow there, and I can go to that to click on audio options. Do you see the audio options?
When I'm looking at my screen, there's nothing, it's all black around, but if I take the cursor towards the bottom, underneath where Elizabeth is, like a speaker, a microphone lights up, a stop video, an invite, participants, share screen, all of that, but it's not there unless I take the cursor there.
Yeah, no, mine is always there. Oh, I can hear you.
Okay.
There you are.
yay!
What did you do?
I can't see her now.
Now she's off.
Okay, what did you do now?
On there.
Okay, you know what it is, guys? If anyone else talks or shuffles or anything, we can't hear Michelle. As soon as it's completely silent, we can hear Michelle. So there's some sort of glitch. So everyone be completely silent. I'm going to talk to Michelle. Michelle, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. I've been journaling and some thoughts have come out and some ideas and creativeness. And I've been doing, like every time I journal, I put 3 things that I'm grateful for. So that's good. Yeah, other than that, yesterday I had a close call. There was an accident in front of me.
Wow.
And after that, I thought, oh my gosh, like that could have been me if it was like 2 seconds or 3 seconds later. So I just felt really grateful that I felt like all my angels and God were taking care of me. So I just had like a very, very grateful moment.
Oh, that's amazing. Make sure you write that in your journal. Those moments of gratitude. Remember how we talked in the journals about also make sure you talk about the subtraction, not just the addition in your life. So that's a subtraction that you're going to talk about. That, you know, like if I had been, you know, I'm so grateful, like 2 seconds earlier, like if that hadn't happened, like I would have been in that accident. I'm so grateful that I was slowed down. I'm so grateful that, you know, that didn't happen to me. So yeah, definitely that is something to be grateful for. And really make sure you're walking yourself through your emotions, because something like that, especially a car accident, so shocking. And, you know, to know that you were only seconds away, you have to worry about, you know, I'm not saying you have like full on PTSD, but it's like forms of that rise up and bubbles up inside of you. So definitely like talk yourself through those emotions, because you may find you're a little jumpy over the next few days, especially still with the snow. Yeah, definitely. Okay, guys. Celia, how are you doing? Welcome. How do you feel to be joining these amazing leaders?
I am very excited. I'm glad to be here. I'm ready to learn, and just like you guys, I need to learn as well. So I'm excited, and I feel like I'm in one of those Blue Man shows, like it's all dark behind me, and I don't know what other lights to turn on to change that.
It's kind of funny, really. It is. Oh, well, that's okay. We can hear you, so that's all good. Okay, guys, so we are talking today about, I have to tell you, this is one of my, I really absolutely love this workshop. When I took the first leaders through this workshop, it was probably, I got the most aha moments of all that we've gone through. Because what's going to end up happening is throughout this workshop, you guys are really going to start to see yourselves. You're going to see yourselves in when and how you make excuses. You're going to see other people that exist in your life. It could be your partners. It could be your parents, family members, friends. You're going to start seeing people in a very, very different light. I found after this particular workshop, especially, a lot of the leaders from the November leaders, when we talked about this one, because so many people had aha moments with this one, that what ended up happening was when we met again the week after, everyone just couldn't wait to talk about how much they realized the excuses they were making in life, how much they were self-handicapping themselves, how much other people around them, like now they understood why people were doing some of the things that they did. So this one really opens your eyes, guys. And so it's okay if you have a moment when we go through this, and please, like, if you see yourself in any of these excuses, let's talk about them. Let's, see why or where it's coming from for you guys to figure it out. And of course, the reason why we started with journaling is because as we start to go through all of these workshops, you guys are able to journal your way through how you're feeling, okay, as we're going through each one. So we're going to start with, it wasn't my fault. She made me do it. Everyone else was doing it. I'm sorry, but he started it. Okay, guys, how many of these sound familiar?
All of them.
Raise your hands.
All of them.
All of the above. And that's the thing. So for some people, these phrases may bring back memories of your childhood, or you may have heard these statements from your friends, family, and even your kids. Despite sounding childish, everyone has said something similar in their adult life to a spouse, family member, boss, coworker, or friend. We've all said them, guys. Like those are probably especially the one, I'm sorry, but. Like, how many times people say that? What did we talk about last week in journaling? Everything before the but doesn't count. You butted it out. So you can't say, I'm sorry, but, because you just butted out the sorry, okay? So do you feel, so I'm going to have a show of hands here. Do you guys feel that you make a lot of excuses? So I'm going to ask that one. Does anyone feel they make a lot of excuses? Okay. Nice. Excellent. Yep. Okay. And what about other people? Do you feel a lot of people in your life? Do you have people in your life that you find make a lot of excuses? I do. Most definitely. Yes. Honest to God. It's so hard. So why do you guys feel, and you may have looked ahead and already looked at the material, that's okay, but why do you feel people make excuses? Do you have any idea why someone makes excuses? Put your hand up and I'll pick you. Christine.
For me, it's the scare factor.
Okay, so fear.
Like, yeah. If somebody asks me to do something that I don't feel confident in, I can feel myself pulling back and the excuses come.
Yeah. Elizabeth?
I feel like it's with my situation around me, it's my family a lot makes excuses, and it's because they're avoiding the truth.
Avoiding.
Whereas I don't tend to avoid it. I want to confront it, get it over and done with, and they make excuses for it.
Exactly. So there you go. So there was the difference. You say, I want it over and done with. You want to take responsibility for it, whereas they want you to do with it. They just want to like sweep it under the rug. Just it doesn't even exist.
100%.
Celia.
I'm purging this one out of my life, but it was accountability. They didn't want to take accountability, so it was everybody else's fault, but their own.
Exactly. Exactly. No, these are all very relevant. So excuses are often used to deny responsibility. Okay, 100%. We all know that. We all know a lot of people that do this. They occur when people feel attacked and they automatically become defensive. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that that reaction, that excuse they're making is that they're feeling attacked. It's just that an automatic response. And what has happened with some people, there are some where it's like, you know, an excuse will come in and maybe right now I'm just feeling attacked. I'm going to come up with an excuse. But some have just become where the habit is so bad that there is nothing but an excuse. They don't even know how to take responsibility. But it comes from being attacked and they automatically become defensive. Excuse making is a behavior we express that hurts our own performance and motivation. Okay? So you need to know that every single time you say an excuse, you're hurting your own motivation and performance. It serves as a distraction of sorts that prevents us from achieving the task, but it stems from a deeper unconscious desire to protect ourselves against anxiety and shame. So it comes down to they feel attacked, it's a defensive mode, and it's against anxiety and shame. So shame is a big one. And if you have studied anything that Brene Brown has talked about, she talks a lot about shame and excuses. It's because someone has so much shame that they don't know how to do anything else but make excuses. So the more anxious or ashamed we are likely to feel, the more likely we are to build barriers that impede our chances of attaining a goal. So excuses are rationalizations we make to ourselves about people and events and circumstances. Okay, so we make these rationalizations. So how many people do you have in your life? And sometimes this comes down to your partnerships. How many times do you rationalize an excuse for why your partner is behaving the way they are? It's like you rationalize that away and make excuses. So it's like, you know what, that's fine. That's just the way they are. No, that's an excuse. And that comes from a place of shame. You're not actually dealing with the situation, okay? They are invented reasons we create to defend our behavior, to neglect taking a particular kind of action as a means of negating responsibility. So again, the easiest way for me to explain something like this is in a relationship. So anytime that someone is behaving a certain way, we create these excuses as a defense for ourselves against, taking any sort of action to do anything about it, okay? So we've rationalized this is just the way they are, and I'm gonna keep making excuses so I don't have to take an action to do anything about it. Because why don't we want to? Fear, we're scared, it's too hard. Like there's even more excuses that we're making, okay? Is that the little one, Christine?
No, it's not here. I just got a coffee brought for me.
Oh, you guys hear the yelling?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a homeless guy outside my building screaming. So if my dog starts barking, this is why. He's yelling at somebody.
Your door is locked, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I have a pure security system here.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh, that's scary. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of scary. I was like, oh, I thought it was the baby or something.
Yeah.
No. And I'm so worried Koba's going to start barking because he's like,
All good. Okay, so here's a great example. Someone asks you, so here is that defense mechanism. Someone asks you why you failed your driver's test. So you're taking your driver's test. You failed your driver's test. Anxiety and shame instantly steps in. Like, why did I? It's a freaking driver's test. How could I fail my driver's test? Anxiety and shame automatically sets in. Your subconscious quickly tries to protect your sense of self from being attacked or criticized. This happens in like half a second, and you blurt out, the weather was bad and the test was unfair. Really? Not really. You failed your test because you failed your test. You see what I'm saying? Like I as a parent with my kids, the biggest thing I would always say, and I think I said it when we were at Impact, where, my kids would say, oh, I took this test. I said, what happened on the test? And they'd be like, oh, well, my teacher, you know, just doesn't like me, and everyone in the class did really poorly on it. And I'm like, are you sure that's why you did poorly? Or maybe it was because you were playing video games all last night and not studying. See, it's like responsibility. And I was saying, no, take responsibility for what you've done. This is what you've done. And so the more and more it was like, I wouldn't let them get away with the excuses. The more and more excuses just started to disappear from their vocabulary. They just didn't exist. They would just own up to it because they just got the habit of doing that instead of having that whole dialogue of got to take responsibility for yourself. And all of a sudden they did. And so the excuses disappeared in their life. Okay. So we're going to go into self-handicapping excuses. And this is the one that seems to be the big shocker for everyone. Does anyone know what self-handicapping excuses are?
No.
No. Okay, we're going to go through it because this is very interesting. Self-handicapping, okay, is defined as creating barriers to a successful performance prior to an achievement or task. Okay, so prior to something happening, the excuse has already started. It refers to actions or statements we make that allow us to avoid effort or responsibility for potential failures that could damage our self-esteem. So nothing has occurred yet, nothing. And yet you're already setting it up. You're already setting it up. So if for any reason something fails, you've already set it up that it's not my fault. Okay, so it is much more embarrassing and harmful to our self-esteem to put forth effort and fail than it is to self-handicap and have an excuse as to why we failed. Do you understand what I mean by that? So it's definitely in our best interest to do that because it's not as embarrassing or harmful, but it's not. You are literally setting yourself up to fail here. When we self-handicap, our decision and actions provide us with a way to internalize success while externalizing failure, okay? So we're automatically telling ourselves, when we do a self-handicapping excuse, we're automatically telling ourselves that we've already succeeded, okay? But whatever the failure was does not belong to us. I'm perfectly fine. It's the outside source that is at fault, not myself. Do you see how harmful something like this is? Okay, so there are two different words. So in other words, self-handicapping lets us take credit for our successes while blaming other external factors for our failures. So there's two types, okay? The first method people use to self-handicap is when they make a task harder for themselves in fear of not successfully completing the task, okay? So that if they do not in fact fail, they can simply place the blame on the obstacle rather than placing the blame on themselves. So this is known to researchers as behavioral handicapping, in which the individual actually creates obstacles to performance. Okay, so here's an example to that. I know it's like, what on earth are you even talking about? Here's an example. Celia invites me up for dinner. She invites me up for dinner. I have a big, huge job interview. I have a big, huge talk I'm going to do tomorrow, whatever it is. I'm going to go do a speaking engagement tomorrow. Celia invites me out for dinner. While I'm out for dinner, I know that I have this speaking engagement the next day. What I do is I stay out too late and I drank too much, okay? What I have done, if I don't do well at my speaking engagement, I can blame that I'm tired and hungover. You see what I've done? I've put that obstacle in front of what I have to do. I did that, no one else. So I can say that. I can say, oh my God, listen, like, you know what, I seriously could have done better, but I was out late last night. I had a few drinks. Yeah, that influence, you know, see, everything has been blamed on something else and not me. I'm the one that went out for dinner. I'm the one that stayed out late. I'm the one that drank too much. Me, I fully knew I had this speaking engagement the next day. But we do things like this to ourselves all the time. We set ourselves up to fail. Now, on the same token, if I went to my speaking engagement tired and hungover and I freaking killed it, I'm still going to self-handicap because that's where I'm at. Now, I can self-handicap with, I'm a freaking superstar. As in, this is what people do. Oh my gosh, really? It was that great? Oh my God, I can't believe it because I'm actually so tired and hungover. I'm still hanging on my excuses. Okay? And how many people know that one? How many people, one, have done it themselves or know people that do it, right? You set yourself up to fail. That is behavioral self-handicapping. It's excuses. This is unhealthy behavior, people. It's unhealthy. We must take responsibility for ourselves. Okay, the next one is called claimed self-handicapping. Okay, so the second way that people self-handicap is by coming up with justifications for their potential failures. If they do not succeed in the task, they can point to their excuses as the reason for their failures. The individual merely states that an obstacle to performance exists. So here's an example. A person may claim a headache before they have to make a presentation at work. So do you know those people? Before they're going to go do something, they're already telling you, oh my God, I have the worst headache. Oh my God, I didn't sleep very well last night. Oh, I have a stomach ache. Oh, whatever it is. They're already telling you this before they even go up. Okay, so they put an obstacle in their place. So they've done this. If they fail, they can blame it on the physical impediment. Okay, so sometimes athletes will do something like this. It's like right away they will let you know, oh my God, I have a bad ankle. Oh my God, this, oh my God, that. They're self-handicapping themselves. They're already, again, same thing. It's like they're already successful inside because it doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the headache. It belongs to whatever it is that, someone didn't prepare them enough. I only just got the memo before I have to present this, whatever it is. This is all self-handicapping. We say this to people because that way, if we fail, it is not our fault. So how many people do that one?
Told you, Heidi, I'm the queen of it.
Okay, well, now you know why you're doing this. Now you know why you're doing this. Okay? It comes from anxiety. It comes from shame. It comes from a defense mechanism. It comes from, like, if you're feeling attacked in any way, okay? So, of course, any sort of failure that we're going to have in life, guys, it is our fault. It is what has happened in us. And we're supposed to let these failures occur for us to grow and learn and move on, not to absolutely fill our lives with excuses. You guys are going to start noticing how many people self-handicap now. It will be the biggest, it'll be like everywhere. As soon as you hear someone do it, someone's like, oh my God, you know what? Like I have to, go in and do whatever it is, a meeting, an interview, whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what it is. I have to have a dinner party. Could be I have to have a dinner party, but it's like, oh my gosh, my schedule is so crazy. I only have a half an hour to prepare. Self-handicapping. That is self-handicapping every single time you do something like that. Okay, so that's what it is. Okay, so let me give you some good news here. Does anyone think there's actually any good excuses in life? Are there any good excuses?
Well, I thought so, but I don't know now. Bless you.
You're like, I'm too scared to answer, Heidi. I'm too scared.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Bless you. There are excuses, guys. Some are good excuses. Sometimes there are circumstances that are out of our control and you need to explain the excuse. Good excuses must come from a place of honesty and then they must be explained. The moment the excuse is then followed by dishonesty, it is no longer a good excuse, okay? Also, the excuse is only a good excuse once it is followed by responsibility, okay? So there are three different types. So there's external. A good excuse is external, coming from outside of a person. So external factors include the weather. things falling over and so on. So anything that is just like, you can't prevent that. Intimate things like this are excellent as they have no intent, and so no blame can occur. So for instance, if you were to say, my car broke down, okay? So if you said, I am late for this meeting because my car broke down, that is a good excuse, right? But then, like I said, you must then follow it up with responsibility. Responsibility is then texting the person, calling the person, you know, making sure that, you know, you get the car towed, you get a cab, you get there. Whatever it is, you take action, you take responsibility. You can't, my car broke down and just not show up at all, not tell anybody. Now you've gone into a place where there's no explanation, there's no responsibility. Or if you said, my car broke down, and, you know, say you did get it towed and then you just went home instead of going to the meeting, now you've slipped into dishonesty. Now it's a bad excuse, okay? Yes, you had a good excuse and then you wrecked it, okay? So you have to make sure it stays in the good excuse. So uncontrollable. Another factor that makes for a good excuse is that you have no control over whatever happened. Maybe you were too far away or you had no authority. So for instance, a good excuse here is, it's not my call to make. So, you know, if you say worked in retail, or if, you know, you're at work and you have managers and you have bosses and someone asks you something and then you say, I'm so terribly sorry, this isn't my call. I don't have the authority to do this. But let me find you the person that does. See, that's an excuse. That is a good excuse. It's a legitimate thing. You can say that, but then you have to follow through with the responsibility, okay? So make sure that you continue whatever it is. Unintentional. If you, the final part of the excuse equation is that even if you did do something, it was accidental and you still had the best of intentions. So if Michelle and I were supposed to have coffee together and I completely forgot. If I said to Michelle, I forgot, that is a good excuse. If I legitimately forgot that we were supposed to go and do that, that is okay. We are human beings. That's fine. But again, it needs to be followed. I forgot. I'm sorry if I've inconvenienced you. It was not my intention. Can we reschedule? Can we whatever? So you're following through with an explanation. And this is not an explanation. I forgot, but my God, like my life is so busy. You need to understand, because now what have I done? I'm going into dishonesty in there. I'm making it your fault that I'm so busy. It's like, no, just always take responsibility. I forgot. I'm so sorry. Can we reschedule? It was never my intention to inconvenience you. That's how that excuse works. Okay? And that's a big one. It could be, I slipped and dropped it. Caroline, I have your beautiful vase and I slipped and I broke it. Listen, if I legitimately slipped and broke it, I'm so sorry. How can I replace it? You know what I mean? Not, oh my goodness, you know, and then I'm start making excuses about so-and-so bumped me and then I had so much on my mind. It's like, oh my goodness, people, shut it down with the excuses. Just own what it is. Take responsibility. That is the biggest thing. Okay, so you always have to remember that. So does anyone have any questions so far?
I do.
Yes.
I take a lot of excuses. I have people that will give me so many excuses. I could write a book like Aesop's Fables, so many of them. Does there come to a point where you have to stop taking the excuses from people and say, hey, you know, I know it's a new one, but
100%. And that, Caroline, is where I would bring up the section from Impact on assertiveness. Assertiveness. If you fully know that someone is making excuses, number one, call them on it. You don't think, I feel like you're making an excuse to me. Your excuse is, oh, you know, I don't have time to meet with you right now. That's wonderful. I can understand that. Can we reschedule for tomorrow? Oh, no, not tomorrow. How is the next day? So you need to just shut it down. It's like, or doing that is like you have to step in with assertiveness. I just want to bring up that I've noticed that you're continually putting me off. I need to know, am I wasting your time? Because I feel, you know, at this point, you're wasting my time. So yes, so your assertiveness, that's where assertiveness needs to come in, because you shouldn't be taking people's excuses. Yes, do people sometimes do that? Everyone's human, and now you're going to know what these people are doing. That's the thing. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power, people. Exactly, yes. So assertiveness, that's where you need to go with that one. Okay.
I underlined it.
Yes. Okay, who knows the difference between excuses and explanations? Because I just talked a lot about explanations. Does anyone know?
Well, I thought I did, but again, now I'm beginning to doubt myself.
I absolutely adore you. Okay, here's the thing. It can actually be very unclear, the difference between excuses and explanation. But there is a difference. So excuses, we need to remember this. Excuses, people make excuses when they feel attacked. They become defensive. So anytime there's shame, could be lack of self-confidence, any sort of time someone is feeling like someone is coming at them, you know, questioning their authority, questioning their knowledge, whatever it is, anytime that is happening. Or if they just don't want to take responsibility for anything in their life, those excuses are going to exist. Explanations help clarify the circumstance of a particular event. Okay? Explanations are less emotional and less pressured than excuses. So sometimes the only one who can really know if their statement is an excuse or an explanation is the one saying it. Okay, so this is the thing. You may not know if someone is truly explaining what the situation is, what it really is, or if they're making an excuse, unless you really know them and you know the situation. But why I'm telling you guys this is for you guys to know the difference between an excuse and an explanation. So example, so here is what I'm going to show you two different ones. So your child brings home a failing grade on their book report. You ask, what happened? They say, it's not my fault. The teacher wasn't clear on what to include in the book report. Everyone else got bad grades as well. Okay? Or, I didn't understand what the teacher said and I was too embarrassed to ask for help. Okay? So of course the first one is an excuse. The second one is an explanation. Okay? Do you see the difference now? Yeah. It's very subtle, isn't it? It's very subtle. One has placed blame and is defensive. The other is coming actually from a very vulnerable space, and it is saying exactly what happened. It's explaining the situation. Okay? So why do people make excuses rather than explanations? Well, we fully know why. The only reason why is a quick response to feeling attacked. Imagine you are the kid now, same kid, who comes home with the failing grade. The moment your mom sees the report, she calls you into the kitchen and says, you know what I said would happen if you got a grade like this. Consider yourself grounded for the rest of the month. What do you have to say for yourself? So that is one way that someone is going to talk to someone. The next time is calls you into the kitchen and says, we need to talk about this. I'm surprised and disappointed to see this low grade. We talked about how important it is for you to do your best. You're a smart kid. Can you explain to me what happened here? See, the first response is hostile and places the child in a defensive position. Okay? The child feels as if they are being attacked. The mom's goal is not understanding, but punishing. So in the end, the mom is angry and the child feels picked on and misunderstood. So there's the thing. How many times is this how we are talked to in life? How many times have you spoken to someone like that? So you go at someone in a way where it's not just that that person feels attacked, they are being attacked. And so as human beings, if we don't have the self-growth or to know that this person is attacking me, you're automatically going to go into a defense mode and you're automatically going to come up with an excuse. Your body, your subconscious is naturally going to do that. You're going to go into excuse mode instead of explanation mode. So it's a matter of just taking a breath for a second. Just It's like, okay, I can see the way this person is coming at me. And it's like, listen, I want nothing more than to explain this to you. Not excuse, explain. Even just saying the word out loud, I want to explain this to you, will put you in the right frame of mind instead of naturally going to an excuse, okay? So excuses, of course, are going to deny the responsibility and come from feelings of defensiveness that pop up when someone is feeling attacked. Explanations allow for responsibility, because that's how you eliminate excuses, by taking responsibility and the situation to be explored and understood. Explanations occur when someone wants to be understood. And that's what we all want. We all want to be acknowledged, and we all want to be understood. No matter what the circumstance, the way a problem is phrased, positive or negative, will predict their response. So going forward, you guys need to understand that how are you approaching people? Are you setting people up to give you an excuse? Okay? Going in any form, in a hostile way, can automatically give you an excuse, and then you're not getting to the bottom of anything. Because then what happens when someone is hostile and you're given an excuse? What does that do? It makes you even angrier, because you know this person is giving you an excuse. So what happens is the hostility just keeps doing this, because now everyone's just furious over the excuse. Okay, if the first speaker carefully describes the situation without assigning blame, it's more likely that the listener will not offer excuses. 100%. Without accusations, there is a less need for excuses. Explanations can clarify the problem, and the two can become a team working towards a common goal. So that's so important, and that's an easy way automatically. Just get rid of excuses in any of your relationships. Don't come at people with hostility. Okay. So, types of excuses. We are going to get into some of the most classic excuses that all of us use. Every single one of us. Every single one of us. So, excuses are imaginary walls standing between you and your dreams. They are. That's what they are. Imaginary. They do not exist. You are the only one making these walls with your excuses. They can keep you from starting a business, writing a book, traveling the world, making friends, talking to people at a networking event, all of them. How many times have you gone to one of those networking events and you don't want to go talk to someone because you're like, oh, they won't want to talk to me. Why? They don't even know you, right? Why? You made that up. You made that excuse, and that's your imaginary wall that you've done. The more real your excuses seem, the more you're on to something meaningful. It's a sign that you're on the right path. So if your excuses are one after another, I'm going to tell you right now, it's because something means a lot to you. Okay? It really does. Yes, Elizabeth?
That's how I met you. I made an excuse. I was talking to Mike, and I was making excuses not to approach you, because I was like, she's not going to know who I am. She doesn't care. She's here having a party. And then I just got over it and spoke to you, and here I am today.
Yeah, and here you are today. Woohoo!
Don't make those excuses, people.
Don't make excuses. So even though excuses vary from person to person, there are certain excuses that we all tend to make. Okay, so excuses come in many forms, and we tend to make them in many different ways. So pay attention. I'm telling you guys, after this, you are going to be like, oh my God, I say that. And you'll stop yourself. You'll be out and you'll say it and you'll be like, oh my God, I just said, you know why and then you'll be explaining why you just said that. Because I'm going to tell you all the reasons why you're doing things. Okay, so here's the first one. How many people say this? Show of hands. There's not enough time. I don't have enough time. I just don't have enough time. Yeah, we all do that one. Every single one of us does that. Do you want to know what that means when you say that? You're lacking passion, focus, discipline, and direction. You could fully be procrastinating, and laziness can be in there. Priorities are out of sorts, lacking the ability to manage your time effectively. That's what that means. When you say that, that's what you're saying. Alternatively, this excuse could indicate that you simply don't value your time, or just don't want to take the time to do what you feel to achieve your desired outcomes. When you catch yourself making an excuse, ask yourself, how badly do I really want this? Because you are saying out to the universe, I have no passion, I have no focus, I have no discipline, I have no direction. That's what you are saying. When I hear that from people, I'm literally in my head, all I'm thinking is, oh my gosh, if you just got some discipline and direction and focused, like you actually tapped into your passion a little more, you'd have the time. You know, so that's what you're saying to the world. When you say that excuse, that's what you're saying. So now think about it. If you come across someone like yourselves now that know that, and what is that other person now thinking in their head when you're like, I just don't have the time?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, there's a difference if you had an explanation. I don't have the time this week because I have to take my kids to hockey and I have an appointment and I'm doing a seminar and I'm doing this. But next week, I will have the time for that. That's an explanation, not an excuse. But most people use that as an excuse, okay? This goal will be very difficult to reach. It's just too hard. It's just too hard. This goal is just too hard. How many of you have said that? It's just too hard. Doing this is too hard. How many of you said that? Yeah, all of us. We've all said that. So means if you believe you're incapable, there is no need, there is no point in trying. That's what that's saying. But if you acknowledge the difficulty, you can begin to strategize, plan, and figure out what you will need to do to overcome the challenges, which will make you more likely to succeed once you do try. Okay? So this try comes up a lot in this. You guys, you just have to believe you're capable to do it. If you're saying it's too difficult to do, you don't believe in yourself. You just don't. You don't, because nothing is too hard to try. Nothing. Everything can. Yes, Elizabeth.
When I first started my spa, I had never owned a business before. I had never, no clue whatsoever. And so on a sticky in my mirror, I always had the same vision looking back at me, and it was, the only person standing in your way is you. And it was a constant reminder that I can't be scared to do something that's out of my comfort zone, because I don't know what that's going to lead me to. I may end up loving it. And here I am 5 years later. So it really is true.
Exactly. Nothing is too hard to reach.
Nothing.
Because
No.
if you are not capable of doing it, then find someone to help you to do it.
Yeah.
Go and get educated on how to do it. Go get advice. My gosh, Google is the greatest thing that's ever been invented, ever. You can find anything. You can figure out anything. That's what I always love. There'll be the most random thing that'll be I just don't know how to do this. And I'll literally Google the question that I need to, and someone else in this world has asked that question. And the answer is out there. So there is no reason. Elizabeth, I love that you said that. The only person standing in front of you is you. That's preventing you from doing anything. Okay, so I don't have enough money. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I think we all say that one. I just don't have the money. I don't have enough money. I just don't have the money. It just comes down to money. Oh my gosh, guys. Every time we do that, we're literally telling the universe we don't have any money. And then everybody's like, oh, I just want to be abundant. Well, then why do you keep saying you have no money? Okay.
No, this would kill me. I would have a friend and I would ask her all the time, do you want to go for a coffee? Oh, I don't have money. I said, okay, I'll pay for you. No problem. We would meet at Second Cup, and every single time she would show up with a new outfit, a new purse, a new something, and it just drove me crazy.
That's the thing. This excuse means you don't feel financial security is a priority. That's what, and it isn't. In her world, Elizabeth, it's not a priority because she just frivolously spends it and then doesn't have the money. This isn't a priority in her life. You don't feel you have the desire, determination, persistence, patience to work hard to achieve financial security. This excuse also suggests you are lacking strategy or ideas that could help you reach your financial objectives. Literally, it blows my mind, the psychology behind our excuses. If it's ideas and strategy you're lacking, then go out there and find some new books to read. Find a mentor or a financial coach who can help you gain the necessary knowledge and understanding you need to succeed financially. There are always answers. We can always be responsible for everything that is happening in our life. If you don't have any money, then go figure out why you don't and have more money. That's it. Done. Responsibility. Stop with that excuse. That one's the worst. Oh my gosh. I love it. I will try. Here we go. We got two of them here. I will try, but I'm afraid to fail. So first of all, you like that. Just don't ever say that again. I will try needs to like literally go away and never exist in your vocabulary again. This excuse means you have no intention at all to work towards your dream or goal. People who say, I will try, have given themselves permission to fail. The moment you say the word try, you've given yourself permission to fail. No matter what happens, and the fact that there's even a but in there, you've even butted it out of there. You're not trying at all. See what I mean? Trying, you've given permission, then you've butted the entire thing out of there. You're not even attempting, okay? No matter what happens, they can always claim that they tried. So there we go. Someone that's self-handicapping loves to use the word try because you're constantly just giving yourself permission to fail, okay? All the time. And it definitely, if your mind is telling you that you don't even want to try, know that this is actually false and a response to the fear of failure you feel, okay? So the fact that you're like, I'm not even going to try it because I know I'm going to fail, this is a massive fear of failure. Okay, so you need to get to the root of why you're only trying at life. Something that I say on a regular basis to people, especially people that, I'll try, I just don't have the time, I'm in all of those excuses, people that continually tell me things like that. And I said this to one particular person that when I said it was such an aha moment for this human being that from that day forward, he completely changed his life. And all I said was, I just have to ask a question. If you're not actually going to live your life, who is? And that's all I said. Because it's like their entire life had been filled with excuses, the tries, the buts. I don't have time. I don't have that. Like every excuse I've lifted here. And finally, I just said, if you're not going to live your life, who is? And it was that moment where he had this realization, oh my God, I'm really not living my life. There's nothing about my life that I'm living. It's always an excuse. And I don't think I've ever heard an excuse from this human being's mouth since that day. And it was just that one phrase that I said. Because I was just like, seriously, like, what is the point? What is the point here? Okay, this is a good one. And I have to tell you, this is an excuse. When I was younger, I could not wait until I was 30. I was the complete opposite of everyone. You know how no one wants to get out of their 20s and they don't want to be 30? Well, I had started my first company at 25. And the thing is, when you start your first company at 25, not a lot of people, like I felt that I wasn't respected enough because I wasn't in my 30s, because there were so many people older than me. So the excuse was I'm too old. And for me back then, it was I'm just too young. I'm not getting any respect because I'm too young. And so I couldn't wait till my 30th birthday to just tell people. In fact, even before I was 30, I would tell people I was 30. Like, how ridiculous is that? When, like, seriously, if I could go back in time now and reverse all of that, right? But how crazy is that I was someone that wanted to be older? So the same thing, when someone is like, I'm too old. I'm just too old to do that. You know, that whole, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Hallelujah, Christine is proving every one of them is wrong, because look what this human being has done at Impact, and look what she's doing. You are never too old and you are never too young. So what this means is you have a lack of understanding. You have a lack of understanding of the world, a lack of understanding of yourself. You don't have confidence, and you have the wrong perspective happening. That is your perspective. That is not the rest of the world. That is you that have done that. Okay, so men and women of all ages have achieved great things. The guy that owned the Colonel from Kentucky Fried Chicken, he did not become a success until he was 66 years old with the Kentucky Fried Chicken. He launched that restaurant chain and became that success at 66.
I'm not old.
more difficult, right? Which means that you may need to be more, say, persistent, creative, and open yourself up to a greater array of experiences and opportunities. Alternatively, your age could actually work to your advantage. Always remember that. It just depends on your perspective. And we do perspective. Oh, wait till we do perspective. That one's going to blow your minds. We do that workshop 7. Workshop 7 is when we get into perspective, and it's like, it'll shift your perspective for sure. And it will. It's a pretty phenomenal. But perspective is everything, okay? Learn from your failures and mistakes, gain understanding and confidence from your experience, and then this will soon shift your perspective about what's possible to achieve. So no more with that excuse. It does not exist. Okay, here's another one. If I try really hard and fail, I'll be devastated. There we are again with try. Oh my gosh, means fear of failure and your lack of understanding, confidence, knowledge, and experience. This often manifests in making self-handicapping excuses that can be used to explain the failure. The problem is the excuse mindset then turns into a self-fulfilling prophecy. That's the thing. These excuses that you guys say, you put out there into the universe, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. By holding back your efforts, you've increased your chances of failure. You always have to remember, if you're making these excuses, you're the one setting yourself up to fail. No one else is doing that. Absolutely no one. Okay? It's not the right time. How many people say that one? It's just not the right time right now. This year is just not the right time. This month is not the right time. Whatever it is, it's just not the right time. Nope. It's always the right time. Always. You're the only one that can stop that. Again, this is a lack of perspective. It could be a lack of information and resources. Okay, so you may have to do a little bit more research for it to be the right time. You may have to tap into some people to make it the right time. I'm not saying that there may not be work involved for it to be the right time, but you're the only one that's saying it's not the right time. No one else is. Okay, just you. Okay, consequences of making excuses. This is what's sad. There are consequences. Okay, so does anyone know what consequences have, okay, so I'd like to know what consequences you guys have dealt with from excuses. Have there been consequences that happened to you?
Too many.
I would say,
Celia?
For me, it was the fear of what somebody else would do if I took a stance on something. So I kind of ended up sacrificing my own happiness. And that person, when it came time, did not hesitate to do things that perhaps I should have done much sooner, but out of fear or excuse of having to deal with what would come out of me making that decision, ended up being the one that got kind of shafted, 100%. If that makes sense.
No, 100%. Anyone else have anything happen because of, yeah, Caroline.
Well, I've taken a lot of excuses from some of my team members, and they lose out on opportunities because I get tired of taking excuses and I go and do it myself because I know I do it no matter what. So I have to go and do it. So they lose out on good opportunities and a lot of chances because too many times.
No, that's exactly it. See, living a life of excuses can have very serious and lasting consequences. It's also important to understand that our excuses lead to stagnation and a life of regrets. So just like I told that friend of mine, if you're not going to live your life, who is? It's like you're not living if you're living in excuses. You're creating all these imaginary walls around yourself, and it can lead to stagnation, and regrets is one of the biggest things. This is where all the shame comes in, all the regrets. Moreover, success in any field of endeavor requires a period of discomfort where we must venture into unfamiliar territories, never knowing what to expect, okay? So you have to. So making excuses can lead to lack of responsibility and growth. There's no growth. You're not promoted. You're not going to learn anymore. This mentality is shut down. There is no more. Self-limiting beliefs. Self-limiting beliefs can prevent everything happening in your life. So self-limiting beliefs come from, and I like to talk about self-limiting beliefs as the little voice inside your head. Okay? So what ends up happening is you could be living a life of gratitude and putting your affirmations and doing whatever it is. But if in the world of living, you're continually making excuses to yourself and to other people, what happens is that little voice inside your head then keeps you in that very negative state. Okay? And this is where regrets, and this is where failure actually happens. Those limiting beliefs will never propel you forward. There is not success if you're continually making all those excuses that we just went through. That's the self-limiting beliefs. So it's very important on a regular basis to tap into what those limiting beliefs are, what those excuses are, to make sure that you're aware of them. Okay? So massive regrets, persistent pessimistic outlook on life. Well, 100% that happens. What do they call it? The glass is half empty. I always say to people, there's no such thing as
refillable.
It's refillable, people. The glass is refillable. Oh my gosh. Okay, so bad judgments, total bad judgments. Think about it. There is something that happened at work, and you, instead of taking responsibility for it, make an excuse. That is a bad judgment, because when your boss or the executives or whatever it is find out that it was your responsibility and you made an excuse for it, what does that do? That could lead to, you could get fired. Do you see what I'm saying? This is bad judgment. Excuses are bad judgment. Paranoia, you're making all these excuses because you feel everyone is attacking you. You're constantly in a defensive, you start to go into paranoia. The more you make excuses a habit, the more paranoid you start to get. And how many people have those people in their life that are paranoid? That they're always thinking that, everybody dislikes them. Everyone is talking about them. So-and-so didn't get right back to me on a text because they dislike me now. They're like automatically paranoid of everything. And I'm telling you, these are generally, now you're going to become aware. Oh my God, Sally really does make a lot of excuses. That does explain why she's so paranoid all the time. Okay, so you're going to start to notice these things. Imaginary walls constricting comfort zone. So you're creating these imaginary walls, this comfort zone, okay? Mental blocks, stifling proactive action and creativity. Well, 100%. Not only will excuses prevent you from reaching your full potential, but they will also hold you back from recognizing opportunities, realizing talents and skills you might have, help you overcome your problems. And these are really important, because what happens is if you're continually making excuses, when those opportunities come in, you're so quick to right away, you're constantly I have to make an excuse for things, why I can't do that, instead of just saying yes to it and going forward, because you're making excuses. Opportunities just disappear. Exactly what Caroline just said. All those opportunities for all those people now are gone because they keep making excuses. Realizing your own talents and skills. If you keep making excuses that you can't go and do something because I'm too old, because I'm too young, because I don't have the time, whatever it is, you may not even find out that you actually have a talent at something. Guys, I have to tell you something. I had no idea that I could write. If I had kept, what kept coming into my head is I should write. I should share my stories. I should share my stories on the blog. I should share my stories. But if I had sat with an excuse, well, I've never written before. I can't tell my stories. I don't know how to write. I've never been a writer. Why should I do that? That would have been a limiting belief and an excuse that I was making for myself. I started writing. I had no idea I actually had a talent to write. Who knew that? So you see, those excuses would have prevented me from figuring something like that out. Help you overcome your problems, 100%. So actually leaning into what's happening in your life and taking responsibility for them, as opposed to just always making excuses. Okay, so these consequences certainly don't lead to a fulfilling lifestyle whenever you're making excuses. In fact, they paralyze us and prevent forward movement in all areas of our lives. If you don't challenge yourself to reach new heights, you will never really know what you're capable of. New opportunities lie hidden around every single darn corner, so go after them. Therefore, guys, it's going to be really important to also stop a few key things here. Okay, so I brought these two up in particular because these are where we also come up with excuses that prevent us from going forward. Making comparisons between yourself and others. How many people do that, right? Constantly comparing ourselves to someone else. These will often make you feel disheartened if you are unable to live up to people's standards and achievements. Instead, only compare yourself to your best self. No other comparisons are necessary. If through your highest efforts you surpass your personal best, then that's good enough, at least until your next attempt. So whatever your next goal is, okay? So here's the thing. People walk around constantly comparing themselves. So say two people are in the exact same industry, and Sally is constantly comparing herself to Susie. Well, let's look at it though. Did they start at the exact same time? Maybe Susie's had 5 years under her that she's gotten to that success. And Sally only started a year ago. Why should Sally be all the way where Susie is? So why are you even comparing yourself? That is, now think about it. It's just like the perfect analogy, but it's apples to oranges. That's what comparison is. If you're an apple, why are you trying to be an orange? Right? Just be the darn apple. Just be the darn apple. Celia, did you want to say something, honey?
Yeah. I was just going to say about comparison. And in today's world of constantly being connected with social media, I mean, how many of us have been on Pinterest and Instagram, and we see everybody's wonderful life that everybody's living and all the wonderful things that everybody is sharing in that. And I always try to remind people, myself included, that on these social media things, it's usually everybody's highlight reels of their life, and sometimes, like on my social media, I'll throw in a picture of having craft dinner with, frozen calamari rings that I just warmed up in the oven, just to keep it real. And I will say this happens because people think, because I'm all about self-care, that I'm eating nutritiously and I'm eating like all the balanced meals. Well, I'm not, but I'm not going to show you that on a regular basis. You would never tune in.
And so that's why it's so important to always remember the only person you compare yourself is to yourself. Okay? And so every day you're always trying to achieve, the only thing you're comparing is who you were yesterday. Who I was yesterday, am I better today? That is it. That is the only person we should ever compare ourselves to. And in those moments where you find yourself in that comparison, make sure that that isn't preventing you from being successful. That you're now making excuses. I can't do that because I'll never be as good as that person. I can't do this because, they have so much more and I'll never get to that level. Well, again, it's a little self-fulfilling prophecy right there. You can achieve whatever you want, first of all, but just don't do the comparison and then fill your life with excuses as to why you can't go forward. Okay? Dwelling on the past. The moment we begin dwelling on past mistakes or failures is the moment we begin experiencing the emotion of regret. Okay? Immediately look to point the finger at someone or something else in order to justify our failures, instead of taking responsibility for our decisions and actions. As a result, we begin rationalizing. See, there's that word again from the very beginning, rationalizing and making excuses for our failed attempts. So continually, it's like, you're making excuses. Well, I'm not successful. Well, you know what? I come from I had a really bad upbringing. My mother was a narcissist. And you start listing, my mother really is a narcissist. She really is. The moment you start dwelling on your past and everything, it's like, you know what, guys? I've had so many damn failures in my past. seriously, I can't even describe to you the amount of failures that I've had in my past. So I could have just kept using all the excuses. What's the point in going forward? What's the point in trying again? What's the point of what? You know, I'm dwelling on that. It's becoming an excuse. So make sure, watch yourself if you do that one. That one is an extremely dangerous one because that excuse can take you to victim mode. Okay, and that's a scary place for anyone to be. Okay, so things you can automatically implement to prevent excuses. Seek alternative perspectives. Right there. That word is going to become so important. We talk about it quite a bit all the way through these workshops, and then we do one whole workshop on it because it's so important. But often the excuses are a result of a lack of perspective. We simply don't have or know about the bigger picture. So what happens is our perspective is here. It's our opinion. It's, you know, this is the way it's always been. I grew up like this, whatever it is. That's an excuse, guys. That's an excuse. Just because that's the way it was doesn't mean that's the way it has to be. Okay? That's an excuse. So you try to shift your perspective. It's like looking through a keyhole. You'll never see the entire room. Okay, when you look through a keyhole, but only a small section of that room. But the moment you open that door, you can see the whole big picture. So don't live your life with a perspective through a keyhole. Okay, also reach out to other people for their opinions, comments, and feedback. Get an understanding of how they see the situation before you commit to making your excuses. First of all, just stop making the damn excuses. Just take responsibility. Okay, next is accept full responsibility for failures and mistakes. Accept it. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. If you accept responsibility for something that has happened, a setback, a failure, a mistake, whatever it is, I'm going to tell you what is not going to happen. The sky is not all of a sudden going to fall, and the earth is not going to open and swallow you up, and that's the end of you. This will not happen. I promise you, lightning will not come down and kill you if you take responsibility. Excuses are often made because we simply don't want to take responsibility for our shortcomings. You know what it is? Our ego steps in. We don't want to actually admit that we did that. That's your ego all over that. When we take full responsibility for our failures and mistakes, we begin to gain confidence in ourselves and our own abilities. Moreover, we begin to feel empowered because life is no longer built upon luck or good fortune, but rather on our ability to successfully adapt to the changing conditions that life throws our way. Not only that, accepting responsibility for things, you will gain respect. So that excuse you made, and then your boss found out that it really was your fault and you made an excuse, you don't have any respect. None. There's no respect. The moment you just, you know what? I screwed up. I made a mistake. I'm so sorry. What can we do to rectify this? Automatically, there is respect there, and everyone moves forward. Your boss might get a little angry. Whatever. It lasts 3 seconds, and then it's over. Okay? Focus on your strengths. When making excuses, we often focus on how inadequate and incapable we are. That's what happens when we're doing excuses. This limits our focus and brings to light all of our weaknesses. Okay? To counter this, we should instead focus on our strengths and how we can use them to make the best of them. So when you take that responsibility, that is the strength that you are doing. When you make the excuse, that is your weakness. Okay? Cultivate 4 critical qualities. These are the 4 things you need to bring into your life to get rid of excuses. 1 is patience. 2 is optimism, confidence, and persistence. Okay? So you need to, this is something you're going to have to practice. If you are someone that makes excuses on a regular basis, persistence, persistence, persistence to take responsibility for it and not make them, especially those self-handicapping ones. Just eliminate that self-handicapping. Stop automatically making an excuse for if I fail, it's okay. No, stop all of that. You're just going to be successful. Set yourself up for success. Okay. So if you begin today to do all of those things, excuses are going to start to disappear. So how to overcome excuses? To overcome excuses, first you have to admit you're making them in the first place, okay? And sometimes that's a hard conversation. But now I've told you enough of them and what they are, you're going to start realizing them, you're going to start hearing them. Sometimes this is difficult to do, however, it's absolutely necessary and critical if you want to eliminate them. You have to admit it. You do. We are capable of getting the results we want. Remember when we talked about an impact, we talked about, and we'll constantly talk about it through these workshops, emotional intelligence, awareness of what we are doing and how we are acting. That awareness is the doorway to emotional intelligence. So having an awareness of the excuses you make will change your life. So, not shocking at all, guys, create an excuse journal! Woo! More journaling! Okay, start an excuse journal. But guys, do not, I repeat, do not label it an excuse journal, because then you're giving yourself permission to make excuses. Okay? What I want you to do is I have suggested names, but you guys come up with whatever you want to. So, suggested journal names: adventure journal. Yes, and then again, yes journal. I say that in the Army all the time. It could be your action planner. So what you're going to do here is you're going to ask yourself the following questions and be honest with yourself. What excuses do I tend to make? Which ones? Which ones are yours that you do? Okay. What am I settling for? Because you may be settling. In your relationship, are you making excuses for a friendship that you have? I mean, how many of us, okay, first of all, every single one of you, raise your hand, because we all have a friend that we make excuses for on a regular basis. That is a hell yes. Oh my God. Yes, 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 yes. We all do it. We all make these excuses for people. You need to start becoming aware of this, because maybe you have to have, remember an impact? What difficult conversation do you need to have? Okay, so we have to start shifting all of these, because that having that relationship and making those excuses for that person, that's not a healthy relationship. There's nothing healthy about that, okay? So what am I settling for? Why am I making these excuses? How do these excuses prevent me from moving forward? These are such important questions. Guys, when you start this, you may not have all the answers, and that's okay. You may know the excuses, but you may not know why you're doing them. Believe me, the more you start asking yourself these questions, do you remember I told you guys last week, what we say in the conscious world, or maybe I said it to Saturday's group, what we say in the conscious world, when we go into a subconscious state, when we're sleeping, what happens is our brain starts to put together patterns for us of our experiences, of conversations, of all kinds of different things. And all of a sudden, have you ever noticed you get up the next day or later the next day or 2 days later, you're like, oh my gosh, I just realized why I do that. Or I just realized what I should be doing now. It's because you have put the question out there. But if you guys don't put the questions out there, the answers are not going to come. Okay? And also the universe is going to be conspiring on your behalf as well. They're going to bring you, all of a sudden you'll be having a conversation with them and they'll tell you something and you'll have that aha moment where you're like, oh my God, that's just what I was asking myself in my excuses or my adventure journal. Don't call it the excuses journal, but the adventure journal, where I'm just like, I was asking myself that. This is the answer I'm looking for. So start asking yourself these questions, okay? How do they cripple my ability to get what I want? That is such a great one. And then make a list of your fears. Do you let your fears run the show? Do you let them? What are your fears? Elizabeth is like, no, open my spa. No more fears. No more fears. Do they keep you in a cycle of excuse after excuse? Write them all down and then look at the fears and read them aloud to yourself. Seeing them on paper diminishes their value, okay? Write down what you're doing in response to these fears. After writing down each of your fears, write down what you were doing in response to each of these. Know that you cannot fail. By showing up and being the best version of yourself, you have not failed. You never can. That's the thing. There's no such thing as failure, because failure is success happens because of failure. It all has to happen to push us and propel us and to teach us whatever it is. The mind can play tricks on you, making you live in a response to your fears. So it will always. Those little guys, do you remember Michelle talking to us about the little guys? They're constantly trying to be the ones running the show. That's what they do. Okay, so create a one-day plan. Now this is what got everybody was creating the one-day plan. Start small. Think about what you can do to make the results you want part of your reality. Maybe it's talking with a friend about what it is you truly want. Maybe it's journaling about what inspires you, lights the fire inside of you, and brings out a sense of purpose and passion. Maybe it's putting a reminder on a Post-it note to not say the excuse. Okay, so you need to figure out what your one-day plan is to eliminate excuses in your life. And maybe it is. Maybe there's a certain excuse you constantly say. Like a perfect excuse is, I'm just so tired. I just can't do that. I'm so tired. How many of us are always walking around going, I'm so tired. I'm just so tired. I'm just so tired. I can't go to the gym because I'm tired. You know, I can't meet you for dinner because I have to work tomorrow. I'll be tired. Like that is probably the number one excuse that every human being says. Eliminate it. Put it on a Post-it. Put it in your phone. Make it an alarm that goes off to remind yourself you are not allowed to make that excuse anymore. So create whatever your one-day plan is going to be. If that's chatting with friends about doing things, if that's making the Post-it notes, whatever it is to eliminate your excuses. Tell someone about your plan. Accountability is everything. Okay? So if you know what your excuses are, and you know what you're saying all the time, if you realize that you're self-handicapping yourself all the time, whatever it is, tell someone. If it's your family, if it's a friend, if it's your partner, doesn't matter. Make yourself accountable for the excuses that you make to eliminate them. Okay? Truly embrace compassion. Guys, eliminating excuses, if you make them on a regular basis, you're going to need some compassion for yourself. Without compassion, you're stuck in a cycle of fear and excuses. Be nice to yourself with this one, okay? Don't beat yourself up if the excuses come out. Don't. This is, again, it's all about practice. You need to practice this one and constantly. And also, you need to remember that all of a sudden taking responsibility for your actions, if you have been someone in the past that is not, doesn't regularly take responsibility for, say, your mistakes, or take responsibility for your actions or whatever it is that you're doing, or like having to actually go forward and do your goal or whatever it is, if you're constantly like preventing and putting up those imaginary walls, it's going to be hard. So you're going to need a little self-love for yourself to get yourself through this, okay? And that's how you're going to get rid of all of these excuses. Do you guys have any? The excuses is a big one because it's a natural thing we all do, and in some cases it's something we've inherited. Maybe our family is a family of people that say excuses. Maybe where we work everyone makes excuses. So this is a big one because it's like it's one of those easy things that we just do that sometimes you just don't even think about it. And yet when you read all of this, it's like, oh my God, like it's not a good thing. It's literally preventing my performance and my motivation to go forward. So does anyone have any questions?
I wish I'd met you a few years ago.
Don't you go back. We're living in the present moment, Christine. What's supposed to happen a few years ago? It's supposed to happen today. Now it's supposed to happen.
Now is the moment.
Yes, it is. 100%. Yes. How is everyone else doing? Did some of you kind of like feel a little, a little uncomfortable? I actually do that. I'm like, oh, that's me. Are we feeling that?
Yes, and I hate those little voices in the head that sabotage my success for no reason. It's just a little voice I'd like to shut it up.
Yeah, with you there, Caroline.
Yeah, so that's your limiting beliefs in there. That's the limiting beliefs. Continually like, oh my God, I have to tell you. What's going to happen, guys, is you have to understand, if you have been someone that has lived in a world of excuses, lived in a world of your limiting beliefs, when you start changing everything about you is going to start fighting. Okay. So throughout this journey, I need you guys to understand, and I've watched it happen with the first leaders, where we've gotten through a number of the workshops and they're implementing this stuff. And then what I found has happened is then I start getting messages where, Heidi, I need to talk to you. I feel like I'm having a setback. I feel like I'm in a slump. I feel like I'm in a funk. Because what ends up happening is you're doing all this self-development and you're doing all this growth, and it's work, because you're practicing and you're continually having to do it. Your ego hates it. Your ego despises what you're doing, and your ego will do everything to sabotage you. Okay, that little saboteur that's in there, that's constantly telling you, oh my God, you don't need to do that. Let's go back over here with our excuses. Let's go back over here. We're much more comfortable in our comfort zone. What are you doing with all of this positivity and this gratitude and everything is and perspective? I don't want another perspective. I want to look through the keyhole because that's where I'm right. Right? Yes. So guys, don't get upset with yourself as we go through this journey that all of a sudden you're feeling like, oh my God, I'm depressed. I'm feeling negative. I'm feeling low. This is where we all have to support each other. Okay, so definitely talk to each other. Do not ever hesitate to reach out to me. I am always here. We can schedule a phone call. We can do a Facebook video together. Sometimes I feel that's better so that we can talk, and then that way I can really see your body language as well to help you. So don't ever hesitate, because your body will stop you from this growth. Okay, Celia, I'm so sorry. Yes, go ahead,
That's
honey.
okay. Think of it, guys, as I'm sure all of us have done some kind of cleanse, some kind of detox at some point or other. Think of this as sort of an attitude energy detoxing. So you're going to feel that sluggishness. You're going to feel that, oh, is this working? Oh, this and that. Think of it in that manner, and you will push right on through.
100%. And also, guys, this is where you're going to really rely on your journals, okay? Because those journals are your cheerleaders and your motivators. So when you are having a couple of rough days, go back and look at all the days where you were so grateful for the amazing things that happened in your life. Go back and check back in with that person, okay? And that will push you forward. But again, we really need to keep the open dynamic, lean on the army, lean on me, lean on each other to get us all through this as you're growing. And definitely get rid of the excuses. Because that's not going to help you do anything. Is everyone good? Is everyone feeling good?
Yep.
Yeah, excuses hit me a big time.
Mm.
Yeah, they will. Yeah. Oh my gosh, yes. I can't remember now if it's 3 or 4, but we're going into toxic people soon, and that one's gonna be a hard one, guys. We literally go through every single type of toxic person, because you guys need to start becoming extremely aware of the people that are in your company, because you're gonna start changing. Here's the thing, you are changing. And so I need you to become extremely aware of the people that are in your dynamic so that you can be aware of who they are and realize it's not you, it's them, okay? So like little by little, we're getting you guys through this. This is big stuff, guys. This is big stuff that we're doing, big changes. What is that? Oh my gosh.
I love it.
I don't know if you can read it, but I wrote, I'm not allowed to make excuses. Just do it, even if it hurts.
Exactly.
I love it.
Oh, yes. Powerful, Caroline.
What I'm going to have you do, Caroline, is I love that intention. Go from that. I need you to turn it into a positive, because that is, I am not. Negatives should never be in your affirmations. So, so how I would change that is I am living a life. I am living a life where I take responsibility for my actions.
Or if I say I will not make excuses.
No will.
No.
No will, and no will. Take all of that.
Even the dog
doesn't want excuses.
Even the dog didn't like it. That's true. No, it's not I will, because then that's the same as try.
Okay.
Okay, so take all the negative things out. So it's like going forward, I will take responsibility for all of my actions. You know,
I am taking.
Thank you so much. And it's like, I am taking. Then you say, you know, things like, oh my God.
He doesn't like the negative.
Yeah. So just always make sure the I am, don't put nots in there. Don't put will. So you always have to remember, affirmation is not what you're going to do. It's what are you going to do? Okay. What are you going to do? Yes. Yes. Exactly. Okay, guys. Oh my gosh, the cute little puppy. I just dogs. Oh my God.
Sorry, he just freaked out again.
That's okay.
He doesn't like strange people coming up to my door in hoodies.
Oh yeah.
I don't either.
Good dog. Okay, guys, listen. If this week you struggle at all with excuses, please reach out to me. Okay? Definitely. Okay, guys. Have a great week. I'll see you next.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Bye.